Welcome to everybody. This is the last webinar of Brand New Words project. In this webinar, there are all the organizations that took part in this wonderful experience. There is Marta of Skill Divers, that is an organization based in Spain. There is also Beata, that is the organization that is the coordinator of the project, and they are based in Poland. And also there will be another partner that is the expert in specific learning disorder that will join us, and they are based in Bulgaria. And in the end, there is CEIPES, that is an Italian NGO that is based in Palermo. So this webinar is based on the 3D printing techniques and what we realize with this kind of technologies in the specific learning disorder field. But I will let the floor to Beata Mintus, who is the coordinator, and she will explain and will give you some details about the project. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Alessia, for introducing me. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Beata Mintos, as Alessia said, and I had a big pleasure to be a coordination organization of these wonderful initiatives, Brave New Words project. At the beginning of this webinar, for the new participants, I would like to just in a few minutes introduce you our main aim of the project, our target group, and also our activities which we developed so far. So just to introduce you better our Brave New Words project, because as Alessia said, this webinar today it's about the 3D printing technology in using with the children with special learning disorders. So let me start. I will share my screen. Today, unfortunately, is our last webinar. It was the set of the 4 webinars, which the first one was dedicated for general aim of the project, our activities, and also why we need to use the modern technologies in working with the children and the people with the special learning disorders. Our second webinar was dedicated for the augmented reality. And what does it mean, that technology? How can we use, what kind of devices and what kind of softwares we can use to doing exercise with the children with special learning disorders using the augmented reality. Our third webinar was dedicated exactly for working with exercises which we developed in our project with the children with special learning disorders. And as I presented before, this webinar is about the 3D printing technologies and how it's working with the children and the people with the special learning disorders. About our project, the project was founded by Erasmus Plus project. It was from the Adult Education Strategic Partnerships and the section Adult Education. The duration of our projects was 30 months. So we started in the 1st November 2019, and we are supposing to finish these initiatives in April 2022. The partners, as Alessia presented at the beginning, we have our Spanish partner, Skills Divers, our Italian partners, CEIPES, our special education with the special educational field partners, Parvi from Bulgaria, and Collegium Balticum, which is a private university from north and west part of Poland, from Poland. So this is our consortium. About the mission of our project and the main objectives was the promoting 3D printing and augmented reality technologies in working with the people with the special learning disorders. It was our main idea, the main mission of this project. It was introducing both technologies in working with the people with special learning disorders. In the next slide, I would like to tell you what kind of target group in each partner country we choose, because we developed that kind of cooperation with the associated partners. So in each country, we have associated partners which help us pilot our exercises and our results. And it was the kind of consulting organization with all activities which we perform in our project. From Spain, it was the Cruz de Piedra School. From Italy was the SIDA organization. From Bulgaria, it was the Center for the People with the Special Educational Needs in Russe. And in Poland, we work with the two associated partners, the Sense Therapy Center and the School and Education Center #2 in Szczecin. They help those institutions help us implement the project, check and measure our results, our outputs, and of course pilot our exercises which we develop in this project. Regarding our goals and how we achieved our goals. The first part and the first stage was development of the guide for teachers and educators, adult educators, about using augmented reality and the 3D printing technologies with the work with the children with special learning disorder, with the people with a special learning disorder. In the second step, we analyze the best and try to identify the best technologies for 3D printing and augmented reality. We chose, and in our guides and in our document, we presented what kind of technologies with both 3D printing and augmented reality are the best solution for our reasons and for our aims. The third step of our project was to develop a methodology for creating the new 3D printing and augmented reality exercises. In this project, we developed 12 exercises for the 3D printing, in using the 3D printing, and 11 to use the augmented reality technology. All of our exercises with description are available on our website. About the fourth step, when we developed the methodology in the first stage, in the fourth and the next, we created exercises for 3D printing and augmented reality. And for augmented reality, we also developed a kind of additional supporting document, which is the Augmented Reality Toolkit. In this document, you can find all information about our softwares, how to download our exercises, and what kind of exercises about the augmented reality you can use in your classroom, in your centers, and with your children's special learning disorder. Almost the last step, was the training of teachers and the piloting of our exercises. So when we developed exercises, we need to pilot that those exercises are suitable for the people with a special learning disorder. So in cooperation with our associated partners, we piloted our tasks and our exercises. And after those feedback which we received, we could update both 3D printing and augmented reality exercises. And the last step of this project, of developing this project, sorry, I think that I missed my connection again. And our last steps is the set of the webinars, which the main aim is open the discussion about using the both technologies with the work and with learning pathway and teaching pathway of the people with the special learning disorders. At the end of my presentation, I would like to really invite you to check our website, www.bravenewwords.infoproject.eu, and in our project website you can find all our results which we developed. You can also see all news about the project and also about those technologies and about our partnerships. So you are really welcome if you are interested of our exercises and you would like to see and check our exercises for the 3D printing and augmented reality technologies. You can all download from our website, also with our methodological guideline, with our guidebook for the 3D printing and augmented reality, and also the toolkit. So you are really welcome on our website, and here you can find everything. And in this part, I would like to really thank you for your participation in this webinar, and I would like to give the floor for our friends from CEIPES, and they would like to introduce you more the 3D printing technologies. I really welcome those who are first time with us on our webinars, and also those who are with us in the last months. It was the really pleasure to organize those activities for you, and hope that from this webinar you can take something for your work and maybe some information will develop better your learning pathway. Thank you very much, Alessia and Jacqueline. I would like to give the floor for you.
Thank you, Beata. Now, I will give the floor to Jacqueline Rinaldi, because as Beata already said, we realized 4 different webinars. The first one was about the project. The second one was regarding the use of augmented reality with people with special learning disorders. The third one was regarding the special learning disorder, and this one, it will be the use of the 3D printing regarding in context with people that have a specific learning disorder. I will give the floor to Jacqueline Rinaldi, who will introduce you in the use of this new kind of technology, and also will show you some experience that we did during the project lifetime. Thank you, Jacqueline.
So welcome again. I'm Jacqueline and I'm an industrial designer. I do work in CEIPES as a project manager and specialist in 3D printing. So, but before speaking about the specific part of the 3D printing, I want to introduce this beautiful technology, all the things that we can do with this technology. Of course, it allows to do many production and many prototypes, and it can be used with children in different ages at school, inside of your classroom. Of course, it will support the development of specific cognitive functions, and in particular for tactile teaching methods. And of course, has many benefits, many advantages. So the most important is the children, the kids can do hands-on experience with a technology that will inspire them as a student with SpLD, special learning disorders, to pay more attention to the data. Of course, they become more creative and see the physical realization of their work. But let's give now a look about the additive manufacturing. Maybe we can have a short, brief conversation after my presentation for the people that use already the 3D printing, or if you have any doubts, please feel free to interrupt me and ask. So about the additive manufacturing, it's very common to call 3D printing. And in fact, the manufacturing process allows the creation of a physical object from a digital model. And its principles are that through the superposition of layers of material, one after other, will become from a digital model, from a sketch that we have an idea, it will become a solid, three-dimensional object. And of course, there are many technologies for the 3D printing. For example, here we have the fusion deposition modeling 3D printer, stereolithography 3D printer, called also SLA, and selecting laser synthetic that give us the possibility to print many other things, because it depends on the use or the main focus that we have. So the most common used here in CEIPES, but in other schools or facilities, is the FDM modeling. The FDM, because it's very easy to use and very common. It has very few settings, doesn't need any specific knowledge. So, but let's see just very quick, and then we can go in the specific what the process for the 3D printer work. So we start as an idea, as a design, so something that we need and we want to print. Then we have the Sdtl file, the G-code, that are the directions that the file gives to the printer. And then the printing process, that it takes some time, of course, but it depends on the setting, on the machine, and the material. And then we have the final part, that it's a 3D object. Sometimes it's required just some process for the post-production. But if you're going to set a very detailed object, we don't need any kind of post-production. But I want to just give you an introduction for the 3D printing. It's very easy, so just have a look.
Also, you can use free software and your own 3D projects. You can then use your own 3D print. When we talk about print, we normally think of products like this, which is an ancient. They make 3D tiny dots colored in onto a page. See the dots when we magnify the picture. So it's the answer is by using lots and lots of layers. A 3D printer objects in layers, just like building a Lego model. Starting at the bottom, it adds thousands of layers of molten plastic, one on top of another, until the whole object. Each layer is chosen. Here, you can see a printer making a small statue. Each layer is just 0.2 millimeters thick. It's 5 layers per minute. The video is speeded up many times, but after about an hour, several hundred layers, here, Charles Darwin. Let's take a closer look at that. At the top, you can see a spool of yellow filaments. This is a long, thin strand of plastic, melted by the printer. It goes into the printer here, which heats the plastic up to around 200 degrees Celsius. Molten filament then gets squeezed through a tiny hole. You can see a bit of the plastic oozing out away. This flat surface is the print bed, where the layers build up. The bed and the print bed need to move around to form the right shape for each layer. This is done with special spectacles. This one moves the print bed up and down, while this motor moves the bed back and forth.
So yes, and we saw all the different parts of the 3D printer, but before going to print, I want to give you just some directions, very quick direction to how to start from a digital model to the printing process. So we saw that we need an idea and a sketch, a digital model that will give us the possibility to set the dimension, the shape of our model, any kind of the size, wherever we want to set and we want to model. Of course, we will need a CAD software, but there are a few, they are free or for a school license or just in the browser we can use. After the model, we can also use the scanner technology. It's a very easy and affordable technology because it's just needs very few moments to scan our object in 360 degrees. And just then we have a digital model just in our laptop. So another way to download our model is from our online platform. There are many in the websites that we can just download any kind of object or shape or whatever we want to use in our classroom or with our kids that we have. Of course, you just need to do a login and feel free to ask some question to the maker that has done this object. After we have our digital model, we need to download, export our Sdtl file that stands for standard triangle language. That are very many triangles that are creating our solid model. So it can create any different types of shapes, and of course it's a very quick process. Every software adds the possibility to download our object. After we have our Sdtl file, we need to understand what kind of software we need for print our object and create our G-code. The G-code, as I said before, is a file that gives the direction to our machine, up, down, right, left. And of course, we need to set up just few things about the speed, about the filling inside of our object, and how it will tell us how long it takes and how much material do we need, and everything that will set up our machine. After we have our G-code, we just need to export it, save it in our laptop, and then with a SDT card that I'm sure that you have one in your houses, you can just save it in your SDT card, but you of course can use a USB. It depends on your machine. There are many kinds of machine, many brands, and you have to just follow some instruction about the machine. After, of course, here the software will divide the model in a horizontal section, because as we saw in the video, the software will just cut in many layers. So we'll start to the bottom until the high part, and we'll cut amount of material and how the expected printing time. Let's give a look on our printers. The shape of our printer can be different, but the technology is always the same, because we need just 3 axes that are Z, X, and Y. Then we have a printed pad that we saw in the video. Is the bottom part where our nodes, the little hole that goes the material down to the nodes, and we'll start from the printing pad, and layer by layer we'll go up. Then we have a frame that allows to the nodes and all the structure, of course, of the printer. And of course, we need a screen display where we can just see all the sexing, the time that it's left, and the fan are very important because of our machines. And of course, we saw that we needed the filament. The filament sometimes goes from the higher part of our printer, and we just need to fill it inside of our nodes. So as you can see, we have different parts, and here is the part that will melt our material and will just print in the print bed. But let's talk about the materials, because each material has a different temperature. It depends what kind of our setting do we want, because if we want to very durable object, we may want to print with a PLA, that is a polymeric, thermopolemic. And but we have many others like resin. These are liquid material. And then we have ABS, HIBS. But of course, we want to show our products, our results that we have made here in CEIPES and then sent to our consortium partners. In our intellectual output 2, we have done in 3 phases our work. The first phase was to convert teacher and trainers 3D printing specification into technical ones. Then, of course, after deciding what kind of exercise do we want it, we want to develop the Sdtl file. So, of course, you need to model your exercise and then export our Sdtl files as we saw. And then the 3D printing process, and of course we needed to test our Sdtl files. But as Beata presented, we developed 11 exercises, and they're with very nice names. For example, we developed alphabet letters with accents. Of course, we tested our exercise in a different ways, and by placing the letters on the table and by reading a short sentence, and then the participant, the person with special learning disorders, had to recognize the letters and compose the word requested by the educator, by the person that was with them. Then we have Europe and its seas. This game was done by putting all the various pieces on the table, and both participants had to recognize the country and think how to assemble all the different countries. It wasn't very very easy to do it because of our many countries, but also for the shapes that we know many countries, but sometimes we don't know what kind of shape our country has. Then we have cubes. This game can be used in many different ways because of the color, because of the shape. But we tested this exercise by placing all the various cubes in different way, you know, like before the biggest and the shortest, and the participant had to follow the direction of the educator, but as I said, it can be used in different ways. Then we have sensory numbers and arithmetical symbols. Here, as you can see, we have 2 parts because the above the bottom is with the hole inside, so the children can exercise writing inside the math signs, and of course the numbers. But it also can be used by using the sensory texture above the number and to recognize it and memorize the shape of the number, of the sign, and of course can be used for the math homework. Matching and the shapes was done by arranging all the various pieces with the different shapes on the table, and the participant need to insert the correct feature to the negative piece, And of course, following can be used for geometry problem, and of course can be used for any other kinds of exercise. Also, always with the math, we thought it was important to exercise with the geometrical shapes and mathematical signs. So we, carried arranging the titles in sequence. So the participants needed to identify both color and shapes. But as we saw in the previously webinars, in Parvi, pilot was tested by hiding the pieces and understanding what was inside the bag, and then recognize it with a tactile. But seriously, it can be used in any kind of exercise. Of course, the numbers, the participant needed to identify both colors and shape, and to list, of course, the order, both colors and previously identified shape. Then we have positive and negative number shape. It was carried by mixing the number, and these were hidden under cloth. So the participant, the kids, needed to recognize the number on the card by touching, just only with the touching. Then we have puzzle numbers. Puzzle numbers was done by arranging all the various pieces in front of the participant and the participant to follow the arrow above the number to reassemble the perfect way to write the number. Then we have the addition of numbers. This game, this exercise, was very useful for the kids that have special learning disorder, specific with the math, because they could choose the number depending on the math problem, and they can use it the holes inside to do the operation. What do you like to eat? It's a very nice game for the memory. So the titles were covered, and the participants' exercise was to remember what food was in the titles, but by the color and the shape. And of course, it can be used also with hiding parts, so the title can be hidden and then remember what was on the top of the title. So all these exercises, of course, are available for you, for anybody that wants to print them and use it in a special learning process with kids, or even as a family member. As Beata described it before, we have a website. Inside of the website, we have a section called results. Inside there are in the intellectual output 2 results. We have the augmented reality exercise and the 3D printing exercise. Inside, you can just select the exercise that you want, and you can download your Sdtl file. We suggest you to look what kind of software your print use and create the G-code file depending on the machine. So this is the process that you might will see in your laptop, because after downloading the Sdtl file, as I said, you need to create a G-code. Here you can decide in what part of the printing bag do you like it, or you can just rotate it, or put in other position and put many, like many 10A or just one, and then you can set up the printing speed, the filling, and then it will give you also the materials that you want to use, of course the timing. That maybe you're wondering how long it takes to print just one egg. The software will give you all this information. So now we are ready to print, and if you have any question to do it for the technical part, I'm here to listen to your experience with 3D printing. Just feel free to ask, and let's have a conversation. Thank you.